On September 21st, 2023, WWE announced the departures of several of their wrestlers. This was due to quote-unquote budget cuts, something they've been doing for the past 3 years or so. This batch of releases includes the likes of Mustafa Ali, Shelton Benjamin, Mason Mansoor, Emma, and most shockingly of all, Dolph Ziggler. Ziggler has been a regular for the WWE for 20 years. In this time, he's done it all. He's won the United States Championship, he's won the Intercontinental Championship, he's won the Tag Team titles, he's won the World Heavyweight Championship, he even went down to NXT and won the NXT Championship. Ziggler is incredibly accomplished in his time in the WWE. But, more so than the accomplishments, in this time, Dolph Ziggler has made a lot of fans and a lot of memories. And those memories are what I want to talk about today as I look back on the career of Dolph Ziggler and some of my favorite moments that he's been a part of. We're going to start off with Survivor Series 2014. It was Team Authority versus Team Cena. This match was incredible. It was a drama-filled match where it was a who's who of talent. You had John Cena, The Big Show, Dolph Ziggler, Seth Rollins, Luke Harper, Rusev. It was a stacked match. And the highlight of this match, other than the debut of the icon Sting, was the performance that Dolph Ziggler had. Which is crazy to say. You look at the talent there, you look at the likes of John Cena, you look at the likes of Seth Rollins, who was incredibly hot. But the talent who stole the show was Ziggler. At the end of the match, it was Ziggler versus Rusev, Luke Harper, and Seth Rollins. It was a 3 versus 1, and Ziggler had the performance of a lifetime. He got a count out over Rusev, he got a pinfall over Luke Harper, and then it was him versus Seth Rollins, and with help from Sting after the Authority tried to interfere, Dolph Ziggler would win. This was one of the best performances I've ever seen. Ziggler had the fans in the palms of his hands. He was on fire during 2014, and I really felt like after this he could have become one of WWE's top stars. Now, it didn't end up to be the case, as a common theme is that WWE never truly appreciated Dolph Ziggler, but nonetheless, this moment will go down in history as probably my favorite moment in Survivor Series history, and it's up there with all-timer Survivor Series moments. The debut of Sting, the performance of Dolph Ziggler, this may have been the best 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination match there's been. And when you look at the history of this pay-per-view, that's a huge accomplishment. Around 2 years later, Ziggler's momentum would fluctuate. He would sometimes be in really good positions, but sometimes just be another guy in the roster. This all changed during his feud with The Miz in the beginning of SmackDown's new era after the draft. This was the era of SmackDown Live, the land of opportunity, and Ziggler took the ball and ran with it. He had a feud with The Miz, and I am not the biggest fan of The Miz, I've never been, but this was arguably the best work of The Miz's career, and arguably some of the best work of Ziggler's career. Ziggler, at this point, had the crowd all for him. He's been a regular in the WWE for over a decade at this point, and the crowd loved him. Everybody loved Dolph Ziggler because at this point a lot of these fans have been growing up with Dolph Ziggler. I was one who was growing up with Dolph Ziggler. When I was getting into wrestling as a child, Dolph Ziggler was a regular on my TV. Dolph Ziggler versus Kofi in 2009, Dolph Ziggler in Survivor Series, Dolph Ziggler's world title win, which we'll get to soon. Dolph Ziggler has been a regular in the WWE for over a decade, and at this point the crowd was all for him. That was the story of this feud. The fact that the crowd loved Ziggler, but maybe the management didn't. Maybe Dolph Ziggler didn't get the chances he deserved maybe Dolph Ziggler needed that Intercontinental Championship to prove to himself that he's that good. And The Miz, fair play to him, did an excellent job as the heel. These two kind of grew up at the same time in the WWE. They developed at the same time, and The Miz was probably more successful than him. Ziggler was very successful, but The Miz was consistently in a better position than him, so Ziggler really felt like the underdog. In the few months that this feud happened, Ziggler would eventually win the Intercontinental Championship after a phenomenal feud, and it really made the Intercontinental Championship feel more important than it had in years. Miz did a great job, Dolph Ziggler did a great job selling how important this championship was, and while it's hard to think now during that Gunther is having that the Intercontinental Championship has had some very hard times, it has. And for a brief moment, after years of this title not meaning much, Dolph Ziggler and The Miz made me care more about it than I cared about the world title scene at the time. It was truly an amazing point in Ziggler's career as the entire fan base fell in love with Ziggler once again. We can't talk about Dolph Ziggler without talking about his Money in the Bank cash-in on Alberto Del Rio in 2013 for the World Heavyweight Championship. At this point, Dolph Ziggler was, per usually, getting the support of the WWE audience. At this point, it was something new for the fans to be this into Dolph Ziggler. The moments we mentioned after were after this moment. Survivor Series 2014 was after he was a world champion. The Miz feud was after he was a world champion, so he was already established, but at this point, Ziggler never had that main event role. He did have main event feuds, but he was never the guy. You could argue he wasn't the guy during this run, but he sure as hell was the guy during that cash-in. He felt like a complete star. The reaction he got to the crowd, the WrestleMania Raw crowd going insane for him. It was a beautiful moment, and it was Dolph Ziggler after the better part of a decade, grinding and working his ass off, getting that moment that his talents deserve. To me, this shows that hard work can pay off, and of course you need the opportunity, you have to run with the opportunity you're given, and Dolph Ziggler has done that throughout his career. Every time they've given him a big moment, Dolph Ziggler has delivered, and there's no better example than his Money in the Bank cash-in, than his World Heavyweight Championship win. I think these moments show that while Dolph Ziggler has never been given the chance regularly to prove himself, that when he is given those opportunities, he can run with it. He ran with the Money in the Bank cash-in, with winning the World Heavyweight Championship. He ran with Survivor Series 2014. He ran with the Miz feud, and there's many other occasions where Dolph Ziggler has been a highlight of WWE TV. I hope if Ziggler continues to wrestle that he proves to the world that when he's properly given the chance, he can go to that next level. And if he does continue, I think there's a very good chance that we see the best Dolph Ziggler run of his career. But until then, all I have to say is thanks for the memories, Dolph Ziggler. You have made so many of our childhoods.